Color.
Yes.
How
Oh my
are
God.
you?
I'm amazing to be speaking with you, Kate Mulgrew, Kathryn Janeway. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. This is an incredible honor.
I'm delighted to be here and to finally be with you. Nerds of Color. That's very interesting. Who came up with this title? Are you all nerds? Are you sci-fi nerds?
Yeah, we're all sci-fi and fantasy nerds. It was started by our editor-in-chief, Keith Chow. And yeah,
And you're all men and women of color?
yes, we are.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant. Okay, I'm delighted. Ask away.
Thank you so much. So I just want to ask you in general, what's this whole experience coming back to the Star Trek universe been like for you?
It's been fun. First of all, this is animation. It's not nearly as rigorous as live action, and it's almost doubly as rewarding because we're targeting a demographic that Star Trek should have targeted many, many, many years ago and somehow failed to do that in its eagerness to appease men 20 to 40. But now we have the real demographic, which is children who have the right imagination to absolutely soar with the ideology of Star Trek. And I believe that they are, because this thing is fantastic. These guys, Dan and Kevin Hageman, unbelievable, man. I mean, it's genius quality, feature film quality. And the children are watching this with their mothers who watched Voyager, and their mothers who watched Next Gen, and their mothers who watched the original series. And the whole thing becomes cross-generational and a passionate conversation in the family. It's brilliant.
Absolutely co-sign all of that. What's it like for you in this latter half of the season, playing two essentially different characters? And what would you say is the deeper difference between the two Janeways?
Vice Admiral and the hologram, you mean? Well, nuance, Swara. You know that very well. It's all about subtleties. The hologram is not sentient. Vice Admiral Janeway is. So she is more given to an immediate sort of urgent temperament, one that is more explicit, one that is more emotional or emotive, I should say, one that is arguably probably more dimensional. But hologram Janeway maintains a certain kind of very important integrity because she's guiding these kids all the way through these adventures. So although I keep her tone measured, within that barometer, I try to do a nice dance. It's a trick for me too, and it's a fun trick. It's a challenge.
Absolutely. So my last question for you,
I
what
hope it's
does
personal, Swara.
I mean, it kind of is because I love Star Trek so
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
especially getting into it later in life. But what does Star Trek mean to you, and what do you hope people today take from it with all the problems we have today in the world?
You know, this thing changed my life utterly, and I would never have predicted that on the first day that I walked on the bridge when I was 39 years old and played Captain Janeway for the first time. It's because it is a lofty ideology, unparalleled, I think, in the canon of cultural television. It is hopeful, it is disciplined, it is passionate, and it is the future. And it is finally, ultimately, and most compellingly, space in its infinity. It's absolutely, I think, one of the most thrilling rides that can be taken.
Completely agreed. Kate Mulgrew, again, this was an honor. Love your work so much and can't wait for everyone to experience more of Star Trek Prodigy and everything
Thank you,
else you have
Swara.
coming.
Thank you. And I salute Nerds of Color. I think it's brilliant.
We salute
Bye-bye, love.
you. Brett Gray and Ella Purnell, thank you both so much for speaking with the Nerds of Color today. How are you doing?
What's up?
Good. I just want to say I absolutely love the show and I'm so excited for everyone to watch where it goes. I just want to ask you first, both of you first, what does Star Trek mean to you and what do you hope people today take from it with all the problems we have today in the world?
Yeah, well, this was my first sort of introduction again into the Star Trek universe. So I think what I've been learning so far is, I guess the main takeaway for me is that, there are so many different species and so many different races and classes and sort of positions in Star Trek. And there's a giant hierarchy with, throughout the entire universe. And one thing that I really love is the message of sort of unity between all of them, no matter what, no matter where, no matter how, just sort of that sort of like universal directive to sort of like all forms of life are necessary to sort of like have life in general. And so I really love the idea of this sort of like team of sort of universal unifiers that go around and make sure that everything is like copacetic. It's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the overarching theme that sort of rules the Star Trek universe of the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few, this collective, this idea of unity and coming together and making positive change and sort of just taking the higher road, being a good person, and caring for all creatures, big or small or whatever. I think that is an incredible message, really important to bring to kids.
Co-sign both of you on that. So Ella, Gwyn had quite the revelation at the end of the last episode from her dad, which apparently now she doesn't even remember. So what can you tease for audiences about what's next for her? Because her journey is so incredibly interesting.
It is. I'm so terrible with spoilers, so I'm going to say less than I need to, so I don't get fired. It's really good. What's coming up is really interesting. I mean, Gwyn is about to embark on this very emotional journey, dealing with the loss of so many things, around her memories of her father, of all of this stuff. And on top of that, there's the big mystery, and the audience is in this unique position where they know what's coming, they know what the problem is, and you're sort of rooting for Gwyn. You want her to remember it. I don't want to say anymore because I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really incredible arc that they've written for her.
And last question, Brett, what can you tease about what's coming for Dal and the team as they're getting closer to Starfleet? And how do Dal's motivations change, especially in this latter half of the season?
Yeah, I also am going to say less because I'm also horrible with spoilers. But I feel like, Dal has a lot to sort of get together. I feel like, up until this point, things have kind of been a learning curve for him, just sort of like learning how to sort of be a leader and sort of like a member of a team at the same time. And I think now things have just kind of kicked into higher gear. I think he's learned so much about how much he actually cares for his team and specifically Gwyn. And so I think, for Dal also, there's an incredible arc plan just about him really solidifying those leadership qualities in himself and learning how to put the needs of the people he cares about over his own and sort of do whatever it takes to make sure that everybody is okay.
Very excited for people to watch it. Thank you both, Ella Purnell, Brett Gray, for speaking with the Nerds of Color today. Congratulations on all your success in the continuing season, and can't wait for people to watch it. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Fanboys, professional artists, and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life, comics, movies, and TV. Yeah, pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.